How's it going, guys? My name is Stone and welcome to these reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing an oddity in the Byrds catalog, Dr. Byrds and Mr. Hyde. This was released in 1969 and was their lowest charting album in their entire career, only reaching 153 in the United States. This is the only album in the band's catalog that features McGuinn singing lead vocals on every track, which essentially establishes the fact that he is now the sole leader of the group, seeing that he's the only original member up until this point, until 1973 with the reunion album. Now, while I do understand why a lot of Byrd fans do not get this album or aren't fans of this lineup in general, I can't help but always want to return to it, as the songs on here are just very simple but melodic at the same time. And I also really love how the band kind of juxtaposes psychedelic rock with country rock. Even if it leans more towards country, I do think that the pinch of psychedelia that runs throughout all of these tracks, more so than others, creates a trippy experience that I never thought would be possible through country music, which is a nice change of pace just because this is probably the most country-esque music I listen to, because I am not much of a fan of country, unless you consider like the band or Bob Dylan. I don't know, that's what a lot of people who aren't into rock music tend to call my music when they hear acoustic driven stuff, but I don't blame them with this record. The album begins with on a very strong note, and perhaps its heaviest, with the Bob Dylan cover Wheels on Fire. This showcases just how bombastic the Byrds can be, with some distorted guitar, crazy drum fills, and a haunting vocal performance by McGuinn. I also think this encompasses the psychedelic aspect of this record better than any of the other songs that lean more towards psychedelic rock. I also really enjoy just how spooky that outro is and how it's kind of drawn out, which transitions into the next song very nicely. The next song being the cute and country flavored Old Blue, which would be the first of 3 songs that the Byrds would record talking about dogs. I think for this being a traditional track, I think the Byrds do it pretty well, as it introduces the country side of things without being too jarring for the listener. It's very melodic, like most of the country songs on here, so it grooves along very nicely, though like most of the songs on this album, it doesn't really have too much going on, but it's just very enjoyable for when it is on. It carries that energy into the following song, Your Gentle Way of Loving Me, which I would definitely consider to be one of my favorites from this album. I just have so much fun playing this on the acoustic guitar because it just has a really nice chord progression, and another great vocal melody, especially in the chorus, which I love. You could probably tell, or you probably know that one note I'm talking about. I struggle kind of hitting it in the chorus, but it's fun just trying. Like I said, look, with this track as well, there's not much going on with it specifically other than just some little jamming in between the verses and chorus, but I still find it to be very enjoyable and worth repeated listens. This is followed by the psychedelic track Child of the Universe, which if I had to pick one, it would probably be my least favorite off this album. I still enjoy what they were illustrating through the music and lyrics, but I find the chorus's melody to be just a tad annoying for my taste. But with that said, I still really like how explosive the drums come off, and the vocals once again being just as astounding as everything else we've heard so far. Side 1 then concludes on the instrumental Nashville West, a track that was brought in by the new members Graham Parsons and Clarence White from their band of the same name. Now I really love, I don't really have anything bad to say about it other than the scream towards the end. I wish I was a little lower on the mix, but other than that, I think this is just a really upbeat country tune that gets me bopping my head whenever it's playing, and it's a satisfying way to close out side 1, as I think, for me at least, I'd say it leaves the listener wanting more. At least it did for me upon first listen, and I'm glad it did that, because I'd say side 2 opens with I consider, and what's usually considered the best song on this album, Drugstore Truck Driving Man. I also agree with that opinion just because I feel it's the catchiest thing on this entire album. And I'll be honest, I'm a little annoyed by it already just because I play it a lot for myself and it kind of ruined it. And I like playing on guitar, so like I don't know, it's usually something I like to warm up to now, just because the chords are so easy. But it's still a very fun song. I really enjoy that classic country 3/4 time signature it has, and the lyrics that contain some funny stereotypes about Southerners. And I don't know, like I said, I like playing this song on guitar, but I don't like playing around some people just because they say Ku Klux Klan over and over, and people look like raise their eyebrow like the Byrds are endorsing racism. It's like, no, they're just talking about a Nashville DJ. They just don't do their research. That's the problem. But anyway, we then get to the track King Apathy 3, which I would consider to be like the title track of this album, as it perfectly represents the schizophrenic nature that this record has. It really sounds like two songs are just kind of clumped together, especially with the more rocking portion of the song, like the verses, clumsily jumping into the country sounding chorus. I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but I mean, I feel like it does kind of have like a clumsiness to it when how it transitions, which strangely works in its favor, I'd say. It continues side 2 on a very strong note, and I would also say the same about the next track, Candy, which is another favorite of mine. I just love the double track vocals by McGuinn. They just take me away whenever I hear them. Yeah, for me, this song, it sounds like the kind of song I'd want to listen to if I had like a big old ranch and I wanted to watch the sunset from there on a bench or something. That's the kind of visual I get whenever I hear this song. I also really enjoyed the mild guitar playing in between the verses, and like a lot of songs in this album, I enjoy playing on the guitar, even though there's not much to it. It's just basically 3 verses, but like I said, the vocals really get me. I think that's what really pulled me, especially like Doctor's Orders Are Unkind and Bad or something like that. I can't remember, but it's a song that really grabbed my attention and really made me have a greater appreciation for what they were trying to do on this record. This goes into the harder and more psychedelic track, Bad Night at the Whiskey. I feel that its beginning drum fills set the stage for how demolishing this song is, and like Wheels on Fire, is much heavier than anything else that the Byrds have done up until this point in their career. It chugs along very nicely, and only makes me wish that this album had more songs that like this, like, you know, on the heavier, maybe not super psychedelic, but just like crunchier sound, I suppose. Not to say that I don't enjoy the final track listing, because I do think this album is very consistent. But just like that, we already come to the conclusion of this album with a rocking melody of My Back Pages, BJ Blues, and Baby What You Want Me to Do. Now, I actually really enjoyed this interpretation of My Back Pages, even if it's for like 30 seconds, as it's much less refined than their original cover on Younger Than Yesterday. And the way that it transitions into Baby What You Want Me to Do is just so clean. It's, I'd say, one of my favorite moments on the entire album. It continues with this song for most of its runtime, which features some very energetic playing by the drums, harmonica, and the guitar. But the way it closes out with that chatter in between BJ Blues Jam is just such an excellent finale, in my opinion, as I consider it to be like referencing the craziness of this music, in which the title kind of implies, like, you know, like going back and forth from psychedelic rock to country rock. And I kind of like it because it doesn't take itself too seriously. I almost recognize, like, hey, yeah, see you later, little honey. Like, goodbye, guys, hope you enjoyed the record kind of feel, which I kind of like. It's admirable. Now, although I've yet to discover everything in the Byrds catalog, I would still place this album pretty high on my list, as it does something I've yet to see anywhere else in psychedelic rock, or as performed as well, I guess, and that is, and that's, I guess, just putting two random genres together that you wouldn't think would work, but I guess it really does. And like I said, I think that's saying something for this record, because I do not really like country music whatsoever, but I think the Byrds are changing that opinion, however, because especially with this one and the one preceding it, Sweetheart the Rodeo, those albums are really good, and it's just showing me, I guess, a better side of country music, a side that isn't all about preachers' daughters and drinking tequila, you know, all the other country music, present day stuff. Now, there's two songs that I didn't mention until now that I want to talk about. They're not on the final track listing, but they were on deluxe editions. It's Stanley's Song and Lay Lady Lay. Now, Stanley's Song honestly should have been on this album, even though this album is the longest in their entire discography, other than Untitled. I still think this song it's just so good. It reminds me of Candy in the sense that I want to listen to it like in the sunshine. I mean, even the line in the song says, "Upon my face, I feel the sun. I see the children play and run." Like it's nostalgic in a way, or makes me nostalgic, I suppose. But yeah, I think it really would have worked on this album, even if it had the same chord progression as Drugstore Driving Man. The only song I don't like though, out of all the 12 I've mentioned, is "Lay Lady Lay." This is another Bob Dylan cover that I think just does nothing for me. If it was on the album, it would easily be my least favorite, so I'm glad it's just a deluxe version, so I don't really have to consider it. But I absolutely love Stanley Slung though, so if you like this album and you haven't heard it, give that song a chance, because I think you might enjoy it as much as I do. Now, my favorite side out of these two would probably have to be side 2, just because there's many more moments on it that I enjoy. But overall, this album is very consistent. My top 4 songs would probably be Drugstore Truck Driving Man, Candy, Your Gentle Way of Loving Me, and This Wheels on Fire. But I would honestly consider replacing Wheels on Fire with Stanley Slung, because I'm a big fan of that track. And yeah, there you guys have it. I'll just show you this because I want to show the back. I absolutely love how it shows them kind of like in space or astronaut outfits before slowly taking them off and going back to the farm. And I don't know if you can see the side there. I kept the sticker on there because I'm one of those guys. It's a colored vinyl. I mean, I'll show you guys if you want to be patient. Let me move this. It's a clear vinyl. It's really nice. I have another clear vinyl like this for a Soft Machine record, which I will definitely review in time, but quite pretty. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on your favorite songs, whether you like this album or not, or you like this lineup of the band, anything regarding it. Put it in the comments, and I'd love to start some discussion on it. Anywho, I hope to see you guys in the next video, and yeah, take care. Bye-bye.